News conference in a little while. What would you like to ask her?
What she wants to say. Madam First Lady, can you tell us your message to children who find themselves in the
Well, all of this is happening for their future, so they will be safe in years to come.
That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for children that are now in a war zone. We're keeping them as safe as we can possibly keep them. But we're fighting for their parents, their grandparents. We're fighting for them. We're fighting for their future. And I will tell you, it was given to me loud and clear. The time the Iranian people are the most unhappy when you hear bombs all over is when those bombs stop. That's the problem. It's, when they stop, because that means that, are they coming back? We want to have them back. And, you know, everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. So hopefully it could be over with quickly. Again, there are lots of different alternatives. We have many alternatives. We could leave right now, and it would take them 15 years to rebuild what they have. We could leave right now. But I want to finish it up. Iran, ready, cannot have a nuclear weapon. They are lunatics. And you can't put nuclear weapons in the hands of a lunatic. Thank you very much.
All right, there you just heard the president outside the White House. He said, we want this conflict with Iran over quickly. He says there are many alternatives, one of which would be just to pull out. And he said it would take Iran 15 years to recover and rebuild. He says, I want to finish it up. They cannot have nuclear weapons. So there you go. The president basically re-emphasizing what he's been saying quite a lot of recently, that he wants this over and done with. And again, there is a deadline for some sort of truce or ceasefire that will run out at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So there you are. That was the president on the very latest. Now this, earlier in the show, we did speak to former CIA Station Chief Dan Hoffman about that rescue of the downed fighter pilot, and he told us deception was a key part of the mission.
Deception is a key part. Intelligence is a key part of successful military campaigns. And what we saw with this rescue is the fusion, the extraordinary fusion between intelligence, CIA intelligence, and the U.S. military that is developed. It's an absolutely powerful, powerful capability that we have when we fuse the intelligence with the warfighter.
Well, the right person is here now to talk about this. Retired four-star General Jack Keane joins me. General, what training do these Air Force officers have for worst-case scenarios? Because clearly training, technology, and a whole lot of bravery was able to come together and make this mission a success.
Yeah, well, all the pilots received mandatory training in how to survive, escape, and evade an enemy in enemy territory as a result of a downed aircraft. And that's very rigorous training that they go through, and it's certainly something that they value very significantly. Listen, this is as accurately described by all, and certainly very well done just recently by Jennifer Griffin. This is a very bold operation that's complicated and certainly enormously successful. And I think 2 points are worth further examination. One is the President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, because it all starts from him. And I think we're in our 6th year with this president, 4 in the first administration and now 2nd year in his 2nd administration. And there is a pattern here, Ashley, of his decision-making. And we saw it early on dealing with when Syria, Assad used chemical weapons on his own people. After having done so with the Obama administration, and Obama, despite his red line, did nothing. I believe he was paralyzed by the fear of adverse consequence. A bad man did the very same thing again to his own people during the Trump administration, and he reacted very quickly to that. He understood, certainly, there are consequences to his decision, but he didn't let that fear of adverse consequences deter him. He reacted very quickly and eventually shut it down. Same thing with Qasem Soleimani. Many presidents had the opportunity to kill Qasem Soleimani. And he asked the briefer, Secretary of State Pompeo, why hasn't somebody done this before? And they said, sir, the reason is they all fear consequences from Iran. He took those consequences into consideration and decided the opportunity was too great to let the fear of those consequences drive him. You saw it again with capturing Maduro, another complicated mission. And clearly, you could have failure in that mission. And then there would be huge criticism. The opportunity to take him, and he trusted his military, and he made the right decision. Even starting the war, he did so where 7 other presidents had the opportunity to confront Iran, and he decided to take the opportunity now to stop them from being a predator in the region. And this operation is further testimony to that. He certainly understood how complicated this thing had to be and what the fear of further losses would be as a result of trying to rescue the airmen. But he acted decisively. Historians will have to take a look at his decision-making process, because I believe it's clearly quite something special and different from what we've been seeing. The second thing is, and we've all hinted at it, is this operation being so complicated. Why is it complicated? Reason one is we go through a drill in the planning phase in the military. What are all the things that could go wrong that we could cause ourselves, from maintenance failures, going to the wrong location? The list goes on. And for every one of those, if necessary, we build a contingency. Well, one of those contingencies happened. The 2 MC-130s got stuck on the airfield. They wouldn't be able to get out of there. What was the contingency? Well, the easy thing is to blow them up. The other thing is the contingency of having other aircraft available to take over their mission. And we did that. The other contingency we have to deal with, what are all the options the enemy has available to them? They can attack on the ground, which they were trying to do. They can attack in the air. They can use cyber attack to interfere with the mission. They can use electronic warfare to jam us. Every single one of those, Ashley, is going to have a contingency to it. And that's what adds to the complexity of the operation. And the fact that we can deal with that and adapt to problems that are challenging us or impediments and still succeed at the operation is testimony to the quality of the people we have. And they reflect something the American people have: adaptability and flexibility. This is our democracy, and it's always been open. And we're flexible. We grow up in it. We grew up in this culture. So our military reflects that culture of adaptability and flexibility. We're innovative as a result of that. And establishing a forward operating base deep inside enemy territory clandestinely for several hours in itself requires some imagination as well as some boldness. And that is a reflection of who we really are.
That's a great place to leave it. General Jack Keane, thank you so much for laying all of that out for us. We do appreciate it, as always. Thank you.